Don't forget we are live streaming today. We are live streaming. Awesome. Yeah, you have the second one. That's fine. All right, guys. Please have a seat. Make sure we're turning your homework, your resume, picture, then have a seat. We're going to go ahead and get started today. As I told you, coming up in the next couple of days, we have a couple big tests coming up. Things to work on coming up in the next couple of days. The first one that we are going to start next week is we have our local assessment. So we want to do a little bit of practice writing to get ready. Just a minute. A little bit of practice writing to get ready. I had originally planned on showing you the YouTube video that my 4th and 5th period class made last year that helped remind us about writing argumentative essays. Unfortunately, for some reason, it's been really, really laggy today, so I'm going to still try and show it so that you can see it. But it's going to be more important that you really listen to it, because it's much easier to listen to than it will be to watch, because it's kind of all over the place when you watch it. So I'm going to try and pull it up here in just a second, and then we will get going. Everybody turned in their resume. If you did a resume for another class, for one of my other classes, and you turned in your first one, if you have the second one that you did, please turn that in also, because that helps me know that you did both of them, and that at least you were working on your points, so I can get everybody their correct points. All right, so if you have that, please turn the other one here. Okay? All right, let's see if this is... Good try. Let's see if this is in flash. Mr. Binder's 6th grade language arts class at Murphy Junior High. We are writing argumentative essays. How many paragraphs do we have?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
5 paragraphs. And where do we always start with our
Purpose.
And what is our purpose? It is
Reason why writing.
the reason why we're writing, and that brings us to our C, which is to
Solve, evaluate, argue.
solve, evaluate, argue. And then we have our audience, right? And we have our literal audience, which is teacher. And our intended audience is
The prompt tells you.
the prompt tells you. Then we have our context, and context is a picture, which captures a,
Moment.
and that moment is made up of what 3 things?
Time, place, who or what's involved.
Time, place, and who, what's involved. Right, and then we have our topic, or our big idea. And where do we find our topic?
The first 2 sentences.
First 2 sentences. And then we have our issues. And our
Issues.
issues are
Why you should care.
why you should care. And then we need to point. We need to defend. And we need to
Point to your reader's mind.
point to your reader's mind. And what do we use to defend our issues?
May I get 1? May I get 2? May I get 3? Knock some out.
And then we say,
Why your reader? Come full circle. Tie it all together. Press to protect it.
right. And when we're building now that we have our issues, we need to build our arguments. And when we build our arguments, we use our what?
Smart heart chart.
Our smart heart chart. And in our smart heart chart, we might have safety. We might have money. We might have attitude. We might have relationships, time, health, energy, awareness, results, taste. All of our arguments need to be,
Justified.
they need to have,
Support.
they need to be,
Focus.
they need to have,
Transition.
and they need to be.
Organize. Organize. Organize.
Okay. Yes, the bell rang right at the very end of that when we were filming. It was quite hilarious. Watch everybody then scramble out of class really quickly. All right. So, what are a couple of things about writing an argumentative paper that you heard in there that you remember hearing? Something that you heard and remember. Yes?
Your essay must be organized.
Organized! Exactly, organized. It's a big thing, being organized. That's why we repeat it so many times at the end of that exercise. Is because it's a huge thing to be organized. You want to make sure that your paper is organized. And you want to make sure it's organized in the correct fashion. I'm going to use this analogy because I think it's a great analogy. They hint on it in there. You want to make sure that when you organize your paper, you put your points in the proper order. Think of writing your paper like a boxing match or a really good UFC fight. And you are one of the fighters. You are a boxer. You are a fighter. And you are coming into this paper. This is your fight. This is your bout, as they call it in boxing. And you're bringing it in. Right? Your main points are your punches. They're whatever it is, your tools, whatever it is that you're going to use in that fight. Right? So you start off your fight. You start off the night starts out just like your paper starts out with an introduction. They introduce the fighters, right? Has anybody ever seen a UFC fight or a boxing match, right? Okay, whenever they introduce them, they always play like music, or has anybody ever seen Rocky, the movie Rocky? They always play music, and they walk in and they got their little robes on with their little hoods up. And they always walk funny. I don't know why they walk funny like that. They either like strut in like crazy, or they shuffle. They shuffle, just slowly moving their feet. They always walk a little funny. I don't know why they do that. They walk in, the music's playing, the crowd's cheering or booing, depending on who they want to win. And they walk in, and everybody's cheering, yeah! And they walk in, and they do the introductions. And they introduce them, and they get in their corner, and they're ready to go, right? And they're practicing, they're getting ready to go. That's just like the same thing in your paper. You introduce your point. You get everybody excited about it. They either want to agree with you and they want to cheer for you, yeah! Or they want to disagree with you because you're taking a very strong stance on something. They're like, boo! But you get them interested and you get them excited, right? So that's your introduction. And then all of a sudden the fight begins, right? And when you come out and you start your fight, you don't always start out with your best thing, no. Because if you miss, it's gone. So what do? You work the body, right? You work the body. A couple shots to the kidneys. Get them a little loose. And then they lower their arms down. They want to protect their kidneys because that hurts, man. You got to bring it down. You lower their defenses a little bit. And then you get a couple pops, maybe the chest or the arms. Get them a little weaker, a little more relaxed, kind of falling down. And then, finally, once you got them a little weak and covering up and trying to defend, then you take that big, heavy right hand, boom, pop them right in the jaw. Chuck Liddell style, right to the chin. Done. Knock them out. But you save that heavy hit for the end. You want their defenses to be down. You don't want them to be ready for it. You start off a fight with your big, heavy thing, they're going to be ready for that. They're ready. They'll block it. It won't do any good. So you got to organize your paper the same way. When you come up with your really good main points, you don't start off with your best, your strongest, the one that you have the most backing behind. You don't start it off with the one you have the most power, because if it misses and it doesn't make sense with them, it doesn't resonate with them, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. You're not going to connect. You're not going to get that knockout punch you're looking for. So you wait, you hold that off. You start with a nice little kidney shot just to kind of warm them up. Let them know that you're there. You know, hey, I got something here. Let them know. And then you kind of work it up a little bit stronger and get their defenses down a little bit more. And then you hit them with the heavy one. So it's the same way with your paper. Same way with your paper. You don't hit it with your big, strong main point first. You save it. You save it for the end. And then it comes to the conclusion, right? You've thrown that big Chuck Liddell punch, and you caught them right on the chin. They're knocked out. They're done. The fight's over. What are you doing? What are you doing? The fight's over. What are you doing?
Celebrate.
You're celebrating, right? You're celebrating. You're like, I won. You are declared the winner. They raise your hand over the other opponent. They give you that nice big belt, which doesn't go in any belt loops I've ever seen. And they give you that nice big belt to where you're the champ, right? You walk out, you celebrate, and then you walk out, you leave the stage. Just like you came in. You leave the same way you went in. Your conclusion is sort of like that in your paper. It's you wrapping up the fight. It's the end. It's the championship round. You're done. Woo! You won. It's time to tell everybody, I won. I am right. You need to agree with me. You need to then change the minds of the people who might have been booing you before. Now they're going to cheer for you because you fought such a great fight. Or maybe the people who were cheering for you before are cheering even louder because their guy won. So you want to build even that intensity back up. But you want to organize your paper into that sort of framework, just like you would a fight. A really good fighter doesn't just go in and just start throwing punches. They have a plan and an organizational strategy to win. You want to do the same thing with your paper. You don't just start going out and just start throwing facts and figures and ideas out willy-nilly. You want to have a plan. You want to have it organized, right? What's something else that anybody remembers? What's another thing somebody remembers? Lindsay.
The smart heart chart.
Smart heart chart. Smart heart chart. We're going to talk about smart heart chart in just a second because it is really important because the smart heart chart is what helps you connect to your readers. It helps you make them want to read what you're writing. Besides the smart heart chart, which we will get to in just a minute, does anybody else remember anything else? Anything else that you need to do in your paper besides Lindsay? Anybody else remember anything just from listening to it that they remember? Something that may have been said or repeated? You gotta have a topic, right? You gotta have a topic, a reason why you're writing. You gotta have a topic, something to write about, right? Can't just walk into a UFC ring and then like jump on your horse and start doing equestrian jumps. That doesn't work. That's not what you're there for. You gotta have a topic, and your topic's gotta fit whatever it is that you're doing. Yeah. We gotta organize her. We gotta stay organized. We gotta be organized. What else? Anything else? Okay. One of the other things I did want to mention that I wanted to mention because it goes along with what?
Is it ACAR?
ACAR's not in the video, but we'll talk about ACAR later. One of the things that's in the video that goes along with topic is that you have to have a purpose. You have to have not only something to write about, but you have to have a reason why you're writing. A reason why you're writing. What is probably going to be the most common reason why you're writing in this class? Because the teacher makes you, right? It's a valid reason. Sometimes you have to write things not because you want to, but because that's your job. Because that is what someone has asked you to do, right? You don't want to really be writing about it. It's not what you would want to be doing, but somebody's telling you have to. So you have, which brings me to the next thing I want to talk about, which you have audience. There's two types of audience. There's your intended audience and your literal audience. In your writing, when you're writing something that I've asked you to write, who is your literal audience?
Your teacher?
Your teacher, mine. I am your literal audience. I am the person you are literally writing to, the person who's actually going to read it. Let's say I asked you to write a paper on whether or not you should be able to use smartphones and tablets in class. If I ask you to write a paper on that, the literal audience is still me. I'm the only one who's going to read it. But who's your intended audience? Who are you writing this paper for? Who do you want to read this paper?
School.
The school as a whole, like students and teachers and everybody? I mean, maybe they could read it.
The school board.
The school board, so people in charge, or school board.
The principal.
The principal, who else?
PTA.
PTA, anybody else?
Superintendent.
Superintendent. Now, it might be interesting to have the entire school read it, because if you could get a whole bunch of people on board and agree with you, it makes it easier to convince higher ups. So I'm not disagreeing with you that you could have the whole school read it, but you really want to direct it towards the people who are higher up, because they're the people who have the power to make those decisions. So you have a literal audience, which is me, and you have an intended audience. And while you always want to keep in mind who your literal audience is, because I'm the one giving you a grade for it, you really want to focus your writing on your intended audience. Who is it you're trying to convince? Who is it you are arguing against? Who's the other fighter in the ring? Is what I like to think of it as. You have one side. You are one part of this fight. There is somebody else in that ring with you that you are fighting with. That's your intended audience. That's who you are arguing with. Okay? An argumentative writing is always one side of an argument, one side of a conversation, one side of a fight. You are taking one side of a fight. All right? So, how do you connect with your readers? How do you make your readers want to read what you're reading? And how do you make the fans in the stands cheer for you?
Have a good introduction.
A good introduction is a good start.
Persuade.
You want to persuade them. Here are some tools that will help you do this. And this is something you should probably write down. So we'll consider this our first note-taking opportunity of the year. This is a wonderful little anagram. It will help you remember tools that you can use in every single paper. Any single argumentative paper, you can use these tools to help you connect with your reader. Because these are all things that everybody wants to connect with. Somebody wants to know more about one of these things. Okay? So you can use this to connect with your readers. The first one. Each one of the letters obviously stands for something. The first one. Does anybody know what the first one is? Yes.
Setting.
Setting? Nope. Setting would be in a story. You want to have when you're writing a story, a narrative, you have setting. Safety. Safety. If you want to write something that people are going to read about, write about ways of keeping them safe. Write about ways of keeping them safe. Think about how many different articles are out there, how many different newspapers are out there about what foods you shouldn't eat because they can be bad for you. They can cause different types of diseases. There's a lot of people who won't microwave food because they've read somewhere that microwaving food can cause cancer. And so they won't microwave food. There are people who won't drink out of bottled water for the same reason. Someone has told them, and they've read someplace, that doing a certain thing is unsafe. There are a lot of different things out there about this. There are a lot of studies about whether or not you should wear your seatbelt in a car or not. And why? Because does it keep you safe or not? There are people who disagree, who say it doesn't. And they discuss this on a regular basis. They have arguments. They write argument papers. So one of the things that you can key into is somebody's safety. somebody's safety, especially if you're writing, if you're like a big audience, if you're writing to like moms and talking about the safety of their kids, they will read all that stuff. I think my wife read 1,000 books about keeping our babies safe when they were tiny. They were first home. So safety. Safety is one of the big things. If this whole chart wasn't in a nice little anagram to give you words to help you remember it, this next one I would put first. It should be the number one thing. Because if you want people to be interested in what you're going to talk about this. Money. Talk about money. Everybody cares about money. Everybody either wants to learn how to make more money, how to better use the money that they have, how to save their money, what they should spend their money on. People want to know about money. When you talk about a product, they want to know how much it costs. Everybody wants to know about money. In fact, if I wanted to write an article about the construction of my tree, one of the big things that I would use to key everyone into it, to get them interested in it, and to pique people's interest so they would want to read more, is I would tell them that I built the entire tree for less than $100. I built the entire thing for less than $100. In fact, the one part of the tree that I spent the most money on was paint. If it wasn't for the paint, I probably spent less than $50 on the tree. The entire thing. It's a project I built for under $50. Now, could everybody build it for under $50? No, because I had a lot of stuff that I got that I either already had or I got for free. But still, I went to a lot of thrift stores and secondhand stores. I got a lot of stuff for free from different friends and relatives. A small example about this is every single one of the main parts of the tree is wrapped in cardboard to start it off to create a base, right? So all of them are wrapped in cardboard. But you can't just like go out and get cardboard from just anywhere, especially not big pieces like that. So I actually used a really good free resource. I spent part of my summer this summer working for Express, the clothing store in the mall. I worked at the one in Joliet. And every so often they get new signs, and they have to put up new signs and posters all the time. These posters are huge, so they come in these gigantic boxes, just massive boxes. But they're really thin, but they're really big. So that you can get a really big sheet of just pure cardboard, unbent, unfolded, unmessed with cardboard. So one day they got a whole bunch of new signs in. They took all the signs out of the boxes, they were going to throw the boxes away. And my boss was like, hey, can I steal those boxes? And he's like, yeah, sure, if you want. If you can get them in your car, take them. So I got all my cardboard just from there. Just for free. From somebody. There's chicken wire that goes around the cardboard that also was what I paper mache to. The chicken wire I got from my brother-in-law. He had some extra stuff in his garage.
What is chicken wire?
It's like fencing stuff. But it's one of those things where if I wanted to get an article that would be really interesting, I could talk about all the different ways I saved money, not only on that, but on the other things that I got for the classroom this year. I could write a really great article about saving money and doing something creative. Okay? A. The next A. Attitude. Attitude. Now, I don't want to just limit this attitude. Because I think when people see the word attitude, they're like, oh, you need to change your attitude. That's not exactly what it is. It can be. It can be something about you have a bad attitude and you need to change your attitude. It could be that, but I think it's more than that. You have a particular attitude towards things that you like and things that you don't like. So I really like the Cubs, and my attitude towards them is rather positive, even when their play is not very positive. My attitude towards Wrigley Field is very positive. I love that stadium, and I hate the rumors that I hear that they're going to tear it down one day and move the Cubs to another town. I hate that. It makes me so sad because Wrigley Field is such a wonderful place. I hate the idea that they are putting in a gigantic jumbotron in left field next year, because I love the field just the way it is. It's my attitude towards it. I get upset when I hear about the jumbotron. My attitude. So you may want to write an article to change my attitude, change my feeling about it. Convince me that this gigantic scoreboard in left field is a good thing. So you can change someone's attitude. Not just because they have a bad attitude, but maybe you want them to agree with your attitude, your feeling about something. Okay? If I was going to pick a number 2, this would be number 2. You want people to read, talk about their relationships. Talk about their relationships. A number of different magazines make tons of money on this. Cosmo magazine makes a living. This is all they talk about. How to know if your man's cheating on you. How to cheat on your man and not get caught. How to have the happiest relationship ever. How to know when your relationship's not happy. These are the headlines you see on like Cosmo magazine and a bunch of other different ones. Who's dating who? Did so-and-so break up? No, they didn't. Yes, they did. Maybe they did. I don't know. Those are headlines you see on countless magazines. But relationships don't just have to do with like boyfriend, girlfriend. Those aren't the only types of relationships there are. Whenever you are connected in any way, shape, or form to another person, you have a relationship with them. You relate to them. Every single one of you in this class has a relationship with each other because you share the experience of being in this class together. You are related to each other. You share a relationship with me. Because I am your teacher, you are my students. We have a relationship together. The person that you sit next to has a relation. You are in a relationship with because you sit next to them. It may be that you share a table together. The person that you locker next to. But it goes further than that. Your friends are relationships. Those are relationships. You actually share a relationship. You have a relationship with people you consider to be your enemies. Because it is still a relationship. You are still somehow connected to that person by the fact that you don't like each other. So even though you consider yourselves enemies, and if I were to say, oh, you guys have a relationship, you're like, no, we don't, we hate each other. Because of that feeling, there is still a relationship there. Okay? And it goes on to kids and parents, brothers, sisters, moms, dads, cousins, uncles, aunts. All those are relationships. And you can talk a lot and get a lot of people interested in your writing if you talk about relationships. If you talk about how to have a better relationship, how to get along with your kids, how to get your kids to listen to you, how to get your kids to clean their room. Those are types of things that parents will want to read. How to get your mother to stop checking in on your Facebook page. Defriend her. But things like that, those are things that people will write about. They want to know about. They're interested because it has to do with relationships. Okay. Time. Time is something that you probably won't really take much notice of for another couple of years. You get to be about my age, you just all of a sudden sit down one day and you look back and you say, wow, more than a third of, I've already lived through more than a third of my life expectancy. That's depressing. Like more than a third of my life is over. It's all like downhill from here, really. Like I just start getting old now. And I start like forgetting things. So, but you start talking about time, and time's a great thing. It's a great thing to talk about. You can talk about how to save time, how to do things faster. What's the fastest way to get a particular homework project done? What's the quickest way to get from Oswego to Chicago? What's the fastest way to do something? How to save time? Meals in 30 minutes or less. Time. All about time. Talk about saving time. Or how to enjoy the time that you have. What are some wonderful things that you can do to have more time? Health. How to be healthy. How to be healthy. Lots of magazines, books, websites, all dedicated to how to be healthy. And people spend tons of time reading this stuff. And there's a lot of different opinions. And it gets hard sometimes. I know, like when I was a lot younger, they told you that you should never eat eggs. Never eat eggs because eggs were way too much cholesterol. And then later on, they came out a couple years later and they're like, well, no. They have a lot of cholesterol, but it's good cholesterol, so you should eat lots of eggs. And then a little while later, they said, well, okay, it is good cholesterol, but there's also bad cholesterol, so you should only eat part of the egg. So it's like, well, am I eating eggs or not? Because I want to. They go great with bacon. So can I have eggs with bacon or not? And yeah, it changes all the time. But people will read that and they get really involved. They want to know how to be healthy. They want to know how to be healthy. They want to know if they're sick or not. One of the biggest websites out there is WebMD, because people feel like, you know, I have a weird pain in my left toe. I should go check WebMD to see what that is. And then they read and they're like, I think I have leprosy. My toe's gonna fall off. But it's health. It's a big concern. It's a big concern. People want to write about it. You want to get people to interested in what you're writing about. Write about health. Along with that, energy. Energy. Talk about how to get energy, how to have more energy, how to properly use the energy you have. Maybe you have a lot of energy. Maybe you have too much energy. Maybe you don't have enough. Whatever it is, energy. Talking about people's energy. How to expel energy. What are things you can do to relieve energy or to get more? So this is where you would also talk about sports. You could talk about football. You can talk about soccer or track or whatever, baseball, softball, badminton, lacrosse, curling, bowling. If you don't know what curling is, wait till the Winter Olympics. It's my favorite sport.
Oh, that thing?
Curling. Curling.
Don't you use like a broom? And have, like,
Yes, one with the broom and the stones. Yep.
Oh,
My favorite.
that.
My favorite. So energy. Energy is a big one. Just 3 more. Awareness. Awareness. Call people's attention to something. Make them know of a cause that you want to that you're standing up for. Something that you're standing up for. One of my, if anybody noticed, I have my pink fireman helmet over here on my Tiger, which is actually for a wonderful charity. It's a wonderful organization that I love, called Pink Heels. And what it is it's a group of guys, and they have different chapters in different cities. Where I live in Joliet, they just opened up one, and they take retired fire trucks or police cars, and they fix them up and they paint them pink. And they do different charity events, and they take these pink fire trucks to different things and help raise money for basically for women who are dealing with any type of disease or sickness or something. The one in Joliet is actually, they just opened up the chapter 2 years ago, and they just got their truck, and they named their truck after a family friend of ours who was battling a cancer and passed away this summer. So it's something that I really care about. And I think it's something that I would want more people to be aware of because I think that they do really good work. And I know they did really good things for Addison. And so I would want them, I want more people to know about it. Pink Heels. And so I would want to write a paper to make people aware of pink heels. But you can also write people a paper about making people aware of danger. Something that's bad that's going on. And sometimes you don't always have to write about only one of these things. You can sometimes tie them together. Like, for instance, a number of years ago, there was an email scam going around. An email scam. People would get an email all of a sudden and say, "Hi, my name is Prince so-and-so from some random Middle Eastern country normally, or South Asia country, one of the ones that most people are not very familiar with. And they'd be like, "My name is Prince so-and-so from such and such a place, and I am very interested in investing in the American stock market. But I have no way to do it because I live in such and such a country. So I have chosen you to be my investor for me. And I would like to invest over $10 million in the stock market. And for doing this for me, you will get a 10% fee." Does anybody know what 10% of $10 million is? $1 million. So they're willing to, according to the email, they're willing to give you $1 million if you will invest $9 million for them. The only thing that you have to do in order for this to work is you just need to send me your checking account number so that I can deposit the $10 million in your account so that you can invest it for me. What do you think happened as soon as people emailed back their routing number, their checking account number?
The people took all their money.
Exactly. The people took all the money out. They took all their money. There's nothing left. They took everything. Or if they didn't take all their money, they'd use the checking account number to get other information about them, and then they'd make up credit cards in their names and all kinds of other stuff and give them all kinds of trouble. So there were people, once this started happening, people became aware of it, they wanted to let other people know that it was going on. So they wrote a lot about awareness and money. It tied in awareness and money because people want to hold on to their money. But they would need to be aware that these dangers are out there. If Prince so-and-so from such and such a country emails you, don't do anything. Okay? Last one, or last two. My marker's failing. Results. Results. You can write a paper talking about results for two different ways. One, how to get certain results. So if you want to get 15-minute abs, you can be like Mike the Situation with 15-minute abs. 15-minute abs?
No way. He said that even possible.
So but you can write about how to get certain results. How to fix your car in 10 easy steps. How to one of my favorites is I love how-to videos on YouTube. They've taught me how to do 1,000,001 things. Like for a while, I had my Xbox 360 connected to the internet without buying, or connected to the internet wirelessly without having to buy one of those little routers. And I learned how to do it by watching YouTube. But it's a particular result. I wanted to know how to do something. I wanted a result, and this was telling me how to get there, right? So you can have different things that will tell you how to get different results. But you also have different writing or talk about certain results. So let's say we took all of the results from your MAP tests over the course of this year that you will take, and someone wanted to write about, if you look at these results, you see that Mr. Bittner's a pretty lousy teacher because all these MAP scores went way down, right? We should fire him. That's something that you could write. Hopefully you won't. Hopefully they won't. But it's something, when you talk about results, it's something you can do. You can talk about how these results show something else. Last one. Taste. Taste. Not just food, though. You can talk about food and taste, sure. But not just food. anybody's taste. People have different tastes in music. Some people have different tastes in reading, the type of books that they like to read. Patrick apparently has become very fond of William Shakespeare. Ladies, I'd watch out for that. But people have different tastes, and sometimes you want somebody's taste to change. So, like I said, as you all know, I'm a big Cubs fan. But maybe you want to change my taste. You want me to like the White Sox a little bit better, or maybe you also like the Cubs, and so you want to relate to me. You want to connect with me. You say, you know what? If you like the Cubs, if you like Wrigley Field, if you connect to that, if you want to be part of something historic and beautiful and amazing and ivy covered and glorious, come be a Cubs fan. And you're connecting with somebody's taste, the things that they like, the things that they enjoy. All right? So, I hope everybody wrote this down because this will help you. This will help you connect with your reader. And connecting with your reader is one of the hardest things to do sometimes. If you don't connect with your reader, nobody's going to want to read what you wrote. I won't even want to read it. And if I don't want to read it, it's really hard to get a good grade if I don't want to read it. I mean, all right, we'll finish this one again.
My mom would slap me if I told her I was a Cubs fan, so I said anyway.
You don't have to be anything. You can be whatever you want to be. Make up your own mind. Oh, make up your own mind. Do what you want to do. You should be a Cubs fan. Just to spite them. I'm a Cubs fan.
What? Now I'm gonna go get more food.
Huh?
Like start.
I'll get my
Yeah.
cheese in. Hey, I didn't bring your.
What color do you want?
I only had like peanut butter.
Okay.
Canvas in this class?
So I asked. Anna, I asked.
Yes, I am.
We're gonna have a tree.
I'm getting behind you.